corporate secretary office that we've come to know over the many years in Singapore. Going to join us today and um, maybe a few other things on the DAO topic. But if you're interested in that, definitely stick around for DAO Hour.
FaZe, are you speaking? Because I can't hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear him either. He was having a tough time hearing you.
Test.
There we go.
Nothing?
Yep. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Are you hearing me? Okay, cool. No
Yep.
future, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I was on the computer first. I couldn't hear you at all. Like when I first joined, I was like, what's going on? People were typing and I could see the thing move, but yeah, it took a couple rejoins today till it worked.
Yeah, I think Discord just auto updated today, which I am not enjoying because now everything looks a little different.
Oh, mine's looked different for a couple of days. Like it's more compact and I think like a little darker, even the dark mode or
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's just a browser thing. I don't know if the actual app does that, but I don't have the app on my computer. So how you guys doing? Everybody good?
Good. Yep.
Nice. And yeah, Jesse, that would be perfect. Since we don't have any other speakers, if the people from CorpSec are ready to go, yeah, we'll make time for sure. So first things first, I guess, let's just look at the closed and the live proposals that we got on the snapshot. In the DAO Call agenda channel, I posted, we had Agate, is this today? Yeah. Agate 142 closed by $2 million worth of Ghost, ended a week ago. 108% quorum. And the proposal to allocate 400k Ghost from Gotchiverse Player Rewards wallet for Gotchi Point Season 1 ended 6 days ago with 104% quorum. As of a couple of hours ago, the live proposals are, there's an agate for that one. So agate, well, let's start with agate 143 actually. Proposal, make Aavegotchi based again, ends in 1 week. And we were at 72.76% quorum last I checked. And then we got agate 144, proposal, allocate 400k Ghosts from Gotchiverse Player Rewards wallet for Gotchi Point Season 1, ending in a week, currently at 68% quorum. And finally, adjusting quorum requirements and increasing voter XP, which ends in 2 weeks. And we're currently at 71.24%. I'm sure a couple of those might have bumped up just a bit because I posted that about 5-6 hours ago. But yeah, these look good. I mean, they look like we still got time on, so 2 weeks, 1 week, and 1 week. And they're all at 70% or above. So please get your votes in. If you haven't, you could check the snapshot or the DAO Call agenda text channel for links, direct links to those proposals. On the discussion, we have establishing a discretionary fund and administrative strategy for the Aavegotchi DAO Foundation. And this was a thread that was started by No Future this past week. No Future, you want to speak about it a little bit?
Yeah, just briefly, because we're going to actually hear from CorpSec from Pixelcraft, so this might actually help us understand things a bit better. But it's asking for discretionary funding for the DAO directors, and this discretionary funding would be for such things as KYCing new members of the DAO directors and updating our documents. There's no scope beyond just that, like administrative tasks that the Aavegotchi DAO Foundation has to do on an annual basis to make sure that we are like compliant with whatever we have to do. Coder Dan has floated out like the idea of creating a secretary role for this that we can do an election for. Phantasma, I believe, said 5,000 Ghost would be acceptable. I don't know what the cost will be. I don't assume this will be an expensive endeavor, but it's just having the funding so that we don't have to come and do a prop when we need to like pay $50 to KYC a new director if we need to do that, because it's holding up the process significantly because we don't have these parameters in place ahead of time. TLDR, we're trying to cover our butt legally.
Yeah. So like, what do you think is the best way to kind of gauge how much or like how much funds should be in this like petty cash fund?
So for me, from my understanding, like this is why it's good that we speak with Pixelcraft's people on the space today, and then we can gauge, because we don't technically know. Like, do we need a lawyer on legal retainer? How much will that cost? How much do KYC services cost? Is there a fee associated with dealing with the CorpSec, asking them to make alterations to our constitution or our board of directors? Do we have annual filing fees that we're supposed to make in the Cayman Islands that we haven't taken care of on our own previously? Like, what's the full route of what we are supposed to do as a foundation to stay legally compliant, and then just doing that? I think it shouldn't be that much, but I'm not, I haven't done tax stuff in 20 years, so I can do research. I did this for a living a long time ago, but if we have people who can guide us, that makes much more sense. So it's, like kind of trying to figure that out and then requesting the proper amount, because I'm not an expert and none of the directors claim to be either.
Yeah. From what I got from like reading the thread, and I saw like someone so I think it was, you said Phantasma, who said something about like 5,000, and just based on what we were trying to do recently with the like a third party service for like the KYC stuff, it seems like, yeah, that would be, I mean, that should cover it for years potentially, but it would be good, I think, to get a tighter number, like try to figure out how much we're actually going to need to spend, and then maybe that's something that the treasurer could be responsible for.
Yeah, I agree.
But
we just need to figure out the number,
yeah,
and then execute from there.
Right, like get a little closer to something that we'd actually be using, and then kind of present it to the DAO. I don't really anticipate anyone having a problem with it, but just for transparency and stuff.
Yeah, 100%. So talking with we should pivot towards talking with Pixelcraft's guests if they're here, so that we can get more of that information. Yeah, because they're not a expert in the Cayman Islands, but at least they'll be able to talk to us about, like, just in general, give us a good idea to start with.
Yeah, we'll bring up Johnson here. Also is in here under the handle Tim Ravel. So I'll pull him up on stage, and you guys will also be able to give more background. Like I said, I had a call with Tim or Johnson about this specific situation where we have these directors that need to rotate out, and we discovered we can't even get in touch with our current corporate secretary. And if that was the case, like if we were just able to have a reliable partner in Caymans, I don't think this would be a big, difficult thing. It shouldn't be. But unfortunately, this is what it's come to. So we need to look for new sources of a corporate secretarial service. And the first thing Johnson says, actually, even though they're based in Singapore, they work internationally with a lot of different clients. And sometimes they work with an agency, they're partners in other countries. So you basically work directly through them. But I'll let Johnson speak more to that. He's the founder of Lotusia, if I'm saying that right. And I think if we were to establish a relationship with them in the future, I doubt we'd work directly with Johnson. He has a team under him that we would end up getting assigned an account manager or something to that effect. So just putting out that up front, that's kind of my current understanding. But he was kind enough to say, yeah, I'm happy to come in on Saturday and just help guide you guys a little bit. And he's very familiar with Aavegotchi, obviously. they've been helping us since we incorporated in Singapore back in 2020. So it's been 5 years, and they've always been super reliable. Super happy to have them come through today. So I think Johnson, if we can get you pulled up on stage, let's see. Either you have to raise your hand, or is there a way we can just grab him onto the stage? There, the hand goes up. Okay.
Hi, hi. Good morning. Probably, that's morning, in your time. Yeah, this is my night time. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, this is Johnson here. Yeah, I'm one of the partner in Lutasha Private Limited. So basically, it's a group of company. We help overseas client to set up the company structure all over the world. So yeah, one of the specialized area is to help the Web3 or blockchain business to set up a structure. Regarding the offshore services, we do provide company compliance like BVI, Cayman, Panama. Yeah, I understand that currently Aavegotchi DAO has a Cayman Foundation, and the current agent is not contactable. So the situation is that we need to make a change on the director. Then we are unable to do that because the agent is not contactable. In this case, actually, we have handled this case before. So basically, we need to get a new agent to help on this. Then I'm not sure whether you keep all the foundation documents. So basically, they will request for all the documents and make sure that the documents, like the Cayman Foundation, is in a good standing. If not, there will be like penalties for late filings. They need to cover up all this. Then if you don't really have any documents, probably we need to find a way to deal with it also. But definitely you can change the agent. Yeah, once you change the agent, you can proceed with all the necessary changes. Yeah. So please
Right.
feel free
So
to ask questions.
yeah, yeah, and just to that first point, I'm sure we can find the documents, right? I don't know about do they have to be physical or digital articles of incorporation, those kind of things enough?
Digital documents are fine. Yeah. So nowadays, like it's a paperless filing world. So basically, digital documents are all acceptable.
Okay, great. Yeah, the directors can speak to this, but I'm pretty sure that's probably okay.
Yeah, I know we have because I've seen when looking for our agent, like we have the numbers like that are associated with our account in the Cayman Islands. You can go to their like registry and look up the Aavegotchi Foundation, and it appears there. So it seems like it's in good standing, assuming that that database is up to date. I guess my question for you, Johnson, is us changing an agent is going to be pivotal in us learning, like, hey, do we owe back, penalties, anything like that involved with our our current setup? What is like realistically our cost going to look like to hire a new agent, and then on an annual basis to kind of execute what we need to do as the Aavegotchi DAO Foundation to make sure that we continue to be compliant?
Well, basically, normally for Cayman Foundation, the annual cost is about 4 to 5 thousand US dollar, depends on the complexity and the number of members. Yeah, that's roughly the cost. That of course that exclude any like accounting cost, because Cayman company is also required to keep the books and records every year. Yeah, that's roughly about the cost.
Okay, so yeah, I don't know based on our current agent if that has been done.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
I'm
if
trying
you
to
are talking about yeah, if you're talking about any like a penalty or cover up any historical cost, that we can only suggest that after we check the status of the company.
Okay, yeah, no, that's good to know. So, like, just to be clear, it's going to be a matter of it'll be 4 to 5K annually to like kind of maintain and execute, and then that is excluding any additional accounting costs because we're going to have ongoing filings going forward. So, with the accounting cost, I'm assuming because we have a treasurer and we keep records within ourselves, but they're on chain records because we don't do off chain dealings at this point. Would that suffice, like in a one time yearly, like if we supply our documents to an accounting service for the one, for that one filing, do we have to have an ongoing, accounting setup, or can we like just access somebody like a third party to do our filings at the end of the year?
Well, as long as you can provide a balance sheet and P&L for every year, it's fine. It doesn't matter whether your treasury is doing it or it's outsourced to third party.
Yeah, because for us, P&L is a difficult. Like, how would we determine P&L? Because we have a treasury. We've basically paid out rewards every year, but we're also like we just did a swap. There was a huge, development that we've paid for various games, and then also just like integrations into the Aavegotchi protocol. Would that also like we would have to, I guess, do a full accounting?
I believe Aavegotchi DAO has been exist for more than 1 year. Was there any like annual accounts provided to the agent before?
No.
Okay. I mean, normally for us, if the client come to us for accounting services, it really depends on the complexity and the volume of the work. So we will need to look at the wallet transaction before we provide the quotation.
Okay, so I guess at the bare minimum, and this is because I don't want to waste too much of your time, and I want to open it up to any other questions that we have in the audience. But if we were to work with you as an agent, we expect our 4 to 5K initial, setup and maintenance.
Sorry, not 45K, it's a 4 to 5K.
Yeah, that's why I said 4 to 5K, $5,000 for that initial, and then we'll be able to get more information to figure out, hey, what's our accounting basis in terms of like filings and penalties and all that.
Yeah, I mean 4 to 5K is annual fees if the company is in good standing. If not, then there will be like an additional cost to cover all the historical missing parts. Then for that part, it will be we can only provide after we check further.
Okay, yeah. So what is the fee for your service?
Well, basically, the Cayman Island actually they charge annual fees, so that part is already covered by us. Secondly, we will help you to maintain all the books and records. Then we'll help you to do the annual filing and inform you about like when is the deadline, what you need to sign, and prepare all the documents. So basically, that's roughly what we do. And if you need to like make any changes to the members or directors, then we will be the one to assist.
Okay, and annually 4 to 5K is like that's the total cost we're talking about, like not just our maintenance, but what we're paying you to execute all these things.
Yeah, normally like 4 to 5K, we cover like a couple of changes. But if you like you make like too many changes, we may have an extra charge. Then like for any ad hoc assignment, like to purchase certain document that we need to pay out from our pocket, then we will bill back to you. Like you need to purchase a letter of good standing, that will be an additional cost.
Okay, because yeah, we are just for background here. We as a DAO, me as a director, and a couple of the other directors have talked about this. We're coming to the DAO to ask for a discretionary fund for things like this. So if I know that 4 to 5K covers it, but I need a little extra buffer room if we do need additional stuff, then I'm thinking 7 to 10K makes sense as a discretionary fund to handle these administrative tasks, assuming like in the regular course of business, we do have to make another adjustment for DAO director or anything else. Does that sound like reasonable to you as a person who does this?
Yeah. I mean, if you are like doing your budget, okay, 7 to 10K is definitely safe. I don't expect anything more than that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know. So I guess the next thing we have to, because we're trying to consider a budget here, do you have services that you can use, or can you point us in the direction of KYC services where we can properly dox our directors to add them to the board and not run a risk of like OFAC?
Sure. I mean, we are actually a licensed agent, a Singapore licensed agent. So we do perform like a KYC for all the clients when we onboard all the clients, and we also help the company. You know, some of the projects when before they do the token sale, they definitely need to onboard all the investors. Then sometimes we do help the clients to for the KYC or KYB, help them to set up the steps and provide the screening services. So basically, for the director to be onboarded to a Cayman Foundation, it's not a complex KYC procedure, but definitely they need to provide some photo ID, proof of address, source of wealth, and we need to perform the screening using the software linked to the central, Dow Jones World database. So yeah, it's basically what we do. Then after screening, we will come up with a report to say whether there's any hit on the person. Then if there are some hits, sometimes because of duplication of the name, but we will need to define whether this is a true hit or false hit. Probably we need to seek some clarification from the potential director also. Then after all this, we will document all the steps to come up with a result whether this person is okay to be a director. Yeah.
Okay, so that's good to know. That falls within the cover of the expense. I guess like for execution purposes.
One other point on that, just sorry to jump in, but this came up on the call last week, and I said I think all the directors KYC with the original, you know, when we set up the company, they must have, other than just through Pixelcraft. I think the corporate secretary at least has your guys' information to onboard you. Maybe not. But Johnson was telling me it kind of doesn't matter, because if we were to work with them, they would have to, for their own, you know, clarity and I think by law, they have to also KYC. So what he just described would be a process I think both old and new directors would have to do. Correct me if I'm wrong, Johnson, but that's worth making clear.
Yeah, that's right. Because all the licensed agent, they require to keep the client's KYC documents before they onboard the clients. So let's say the existing director in the foundation, I believe they have submit some KYC document to the current agent, but that document is not available to the new agent because it is kept by the agent itself only. It was never uploaded to the government portal or anything. So the new agent is unable to retrieve those KYC documents. So for compliance purpose, the new agent will require all the KYC documents from all the directors and the members or any other officers.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess then if we going through the KYC process, because for background, once again, as a DAO, we're going to have to probably put a proposal together, go through a voting process that could take anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. Assuming we get that done and get the funding, 2 questions. A, how long does it take to execute said services to get, to start like, KYC, the whole thing, to run that gamut? And then B, or 2, can we pay in crypto?
Okay, first question. I believe there are 2 parts. The first part is KYC. The other part is change of agent, is it?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, for KYC, it's quite fast. As long as the director provide the documents, it can be done in probably 2 days. Then for the whole change of agent, normally it takes about 1 to 2 weeks. Because the new agent need to report to the government, then the government changes, so the whole process will be a bit longer. So yeah, in the past experience is about 1 to 2 weeks. Then for the fees, yes, definitely to be honest, half of our income are in crypto. Yeah. So we
Okay.
do accept like a USDT or USDC in either Ethereum or Polygon. Yeah.
Okay, this is good to know. So we'll have to, on our end, phase go back. We're gonna, I guess, formulate a proposal tied to this. We can just link this video because this is like, I guess, the most concise way to get this information across to everybody. Because it was like what, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Yeah, we need to get our agent in order. We need to get our KYC in order. Then we're going to have to take a serious look at our accounting and see if we are in default for compliance and then potential penalties. And then we have to get our books in order so that we can accurately communicate with Johnson's company so that they can, help us with the accounting going forward.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah, thank you for your time. Thank you so
Real
much.
quick, just yeah, a couple of follow-ons is just you went so fast about the requirements for KYC, and I think some of our directors and some of our potential directors here in the audience may not have ever KYC before. So most of it was straightforward. You said, the ID, but what about like source of wealth? What does that actually mean? Is that like proof of employment, like a pay stub? What would count as source of wealth? What do you need to provide?
Okay, so basically for source of wealth, it's the agent. Okay, first of all, the agent is not a financial institution. They are not taking anyone's money, so it's not that serious about the source of wealth. But they do need some reasonable description to say that the director has been like generating income from certain employment in certain period from a certain position. Just need some description or link in. Yeah, that'll be sufficient. But of course, the description must be reasonable. Like the company, it can be found in somewhere because the agent will do some check.
Got it. Got it. So basically, just what do you do for a living and be honest about it. And,
Yeah. They don't require like you have
reasonable.
1 million to be a director, but so you must be like have some reasonable income to hold the position.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, great questions today. No future. Johnson, thank you so much for your answers. Does anyone in the audience have any further questions? This is really great while we've got Johnson here. I wonder, I wish it didn't have to take a whole nother vote. We're at 5 of 5 signers. It's quite risky. I just wonder how, I'm glad we're doing this now and maybe we can do something here pretty quick. That's the only thing that stands out to me.
Yeah, and
What would the
since
vote be
this
for?
process is starting, like we've already done the votes to add the new directors to the DAO, right? Like the election is complete. Would it be possible if we know that we're going to be working with Johnson's company for CorpSec, could the DAO implement that right now so we get through this precarious situation and then know that the foundation docs and everything will be updated once the CorpSec is signed? How would the DAO directors feel about that? And also Johnson, maybe you could weigh in on that.
So where would we be pulling the funds from to do that? Because we would have to, it's contingent on a vote, and if the vote fails, then, I mean, it can't fail, but it can always fail.
Right. Yeah, it could not be quorum.
Do
I
we
mean,
have,
Pixelcraft could always front the cost and then you guys do a vote after the fact to pay us back or something, or
Yeah.
I don't know. We could, it seems really important. Just if it's just a funding question and we're talking about say $5,000, give or take, maybe 10 on the upper end. 5 of 5 signers is kind of unacceptably dangerous. So
Yeah.
we should do something.
I'm not opposed to that, and then we could write language into the proposal to pay you guys back. My question was, I know we had a DTF, I know we had an ATF. Are there no funds within the DAO that can be repurposed without like a SIG prop or a core prop?
Nothing coming to mind.
Yeah, because the
Yeah,
ATF
not that I know.
is the ATF drained? Is there nothing? I thought it was 100K. Trust
So
me,
you
bro.
mean
Go
like
for
the
it.
same style? We would be essentially borrowing it from ATF funds and then still go through with the proposal, and then if that passes, just kind of reimburse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
just
Like
straight
if
up
the
make
funds
a.
are there, I like Jesse's idea with the. I mean, I think most of the current directors would agree on that because they're kind of under stress right now. All five of you guys, which like thank you because you guys have been very diligent. But yeah, just to ease things up and get back running smoothly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to it. It'd be good to know what everybody else thinks, but I think it's reasonable to in the situation to try to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're willing. That would be, we could figure out the details later, but that seems like I wasn't really, it didn't click till this conversation. That's literally redlining at 5 of 5. So that's pretty scary. You guys keep your hardware wallet safe. Which, so one last thing about I could talk about with Johnson and not trying to sell it, but just to clarify on the accounting side. I know you guys do the monthly reports and as far as I can tell, do a great job. Everyone I've read is very, very useful. And you guys, compared to Pixelcraft, have a lot less on-chain activity, I would say is a fair statement, between our payroll and ops wallets and promotions. And Johnson's company helps track all of that annually for us and does a great job. So they're very used to dealing with on-chain transactions and multi-chain, multi-network situations. So I think you guys could get up to speed fairly quickly as long as you have all the wallets, all the multi-sigs that you guys run, everything from DTF to any game funding, and probably wouldn't be that hard of a lift compared to other stuff Johnson's team has had to do for us. So it seems very, very doable.
Excellent. Yeah, whatever you guys need from us. I mean, everyone who got elected, and since that last proposal a couple months ago, we've been ready to go. So, yeah, any steps we can take to just kind of move it along would be greatly appreciated.
Tring has got a good question here about how do we continue the conversation with Latusia in the future? Maybe we can add Tim to the director's chat or a new group. If Tim Johnson is okay with that, I think that would be fine. And maybe this is an important point just to acknowledge and address. Does anyone have any concern about, like, I don't know, this is a company that Pixelcraft has worked with for many years, and sometimes, like last time we introduced a lawyer to the DAO, there was some questions, perhaps fair, about like motivations, or is there collusion or any sort of like, which to be clear, there wasn't. We're just trying to help, and we're very happy to introduce Latuja here. And it's they don't provide lawyers or legal service, so I feel like this is very clear and probably a good thing that your guys' corporate secretarial service and finances are being handled by a very competent team that we already can vouch for, and they handle a lot of our stuff too. But if there's any concerns about too close for comfort or anything like that, it's let's raise those before anything moves further. Um, and just to be clear from my side, I think we just saw this drag on for so many weeks. We're like, let's just have a call with our team and see what their advice would be. And then I, through that call, learned that uh, Johnson, who I had assumed your company could only do Singapore companies, actually does work with, jurisdictions all over the world. So I was learning as we go through this too. And yeah, so I think it's a win-win, but just want to make sure that's said up front.
Can we get links or more information? And this could be through us, creating a chat where we can all talk to the company that Johnson works for, and then because then at the very least we can do some due diligence, look up competitors, just get an idea and then move forward. But it seems like we're ready to move forward, but just for the sake of transparency.
Yeah, I mean,
we
yeah, please go ahead.
If Tim wants to take that. No, go ahead.
Okay, I mean, we can share our website. Basically, you can find some information from the website. So it really depends what information you require. I mean, we can form a group in the Discord. Then whatever information you need, we can provide. Yeah, it's no issue.
Yeah, that sounds good. We'll have you added to one of the groups, the DAO director group, so we can continue the conversation. We could also do it in DAO discussion. I don't know if we want to gatekeep this discussion. This is a DAO, so I'd leave that up to everybody else to chime in the comments if you have like a feeling one way or the other.
I mean,
I guess my main concern is just the 5 of 5 directors. Make sure that we are good to like move on that after this call or very soon.
Yep.
Yeah, and for the transparency part of the discussion, it could definitely be its own thread also in the DAO forum, and just with regular updates as needed. Or transparency, like you were saying, in the future.
Yeah, we'll create. I guess I'll drop a link here, Johnson, and you can jump in and kind of, if you can, give us like a little TLDR for the DAO. Let me see. Let me find that.
Sure.
Let's grab the link.
Yeah, I like the idea of you guys get in a group chat and just if you need some assistance from Dan or myself on the Pixelcraft side, we know Johnson well. We're happy to hop in and help facilitate anything, like we said, covering some payments up front if need be. But the more you guys just establish your own relationship on your own terms, that'll be probably the best way. And then, like I said, Johnson's the founder of Letitia, and you'll see someone else who he might pull in some other people from the company into whatever group chats you guys set up, like an account manager or something. Up to Johnson, of course. But it's also midnight for him or 20 till. So I don't know if he's going to hop in today, but you should pull him in and pick up the conversation. I guess Monday through Friday.
Yeah, that sounds good. I just have one last question for him if he can, and this could be to the broader audience because it's been floated out the idea of a need for a secretary for the DAO. With the level of, I guess, accounting that we have to do here, Johnson, do you think the DAO needs a separate person to do that? Because we currently have a treasurer who is doing monthly reports for us. Do we need a corporate secretary? I mean, like a secretary for our DAO?
Okay. Strictly speaking, Treasury is more in charge of this finance part. Secretary is more like assisting on the KYC, recording the minutes of each directors meeting. Yeah, normally that's the scope of the secretary, but it really depends on what is your treasury is doing, whether you need any additional input or additional professional knowledge from the secretary to come up with another report or improve the current reporting. It really depends. Yeah, but if you are okay with the what the treasury is doing for the finance part, then secretary is more like a paperwork or the compliance on the like KYC or any regular meeting minutes and all this.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I guess we'll have to discuss that because I don't know that we necessarily need that if we have y'all doing KYC. I think that makes sense. Yeah, thank you for your time. Unless there are any other questions, FaZe or anybody else listening in the chat.
Yeah, nothing from me. Just looking at the chat. But yeah, thank you, Johnson, for joining us and clearing some of this up. We've been in a little dilemma here for about a month, but we're excited to move along.
Okay, great. I mean, it's
Thank
good
you.
to know, talk to you. Yeah, please feel free to drop me the link for me to join the group. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Yeah, China, if you could make that group, or if you want it to happen in its own thread, or both, whatever works.
Yeah, I dropped a link to the DAO discussion forum. I mean, the DAO forum about creating this funding. So I mean, at least it seems pretty clear. Like, if we get funded the 5 to 10K, we get our house in order, we get this prop pass to pay it back, and then to have an ongoing, just awareness of what we need to do. Because my worry, to be honest, is that we didn't file last year because our agent went AWOL. So we're gonna be behind the ball on that, and we might get hit with penalties. I don't know what that looks like from the Cayman Islands. If it's just like basic reporting penalties and no taxes owed, I don't think that's a big deal. But we're gonna have to examine our books to a degree to figure out what is profit and loss, which we haven't. I don't know that we're prepared to do that because we don't have the infrastructure set up for that. Johnson will be able to help, but yeah, I don't know. There's no cat
Good
beans in the
summary
Cayman
there,
Islands.
no
That's
fool.
good. Say again?
I said good summary of the situation, and there might be a few penalties, but I think the books, like I said, you guys have very few on-chain transactions, and it's not like you have a lot of profits coming in. There's like the fees from the bazaar. So I don't think it'll be, too painful. I'd be very surprised.
Okay, that's good to know then.
Yeah, until we start generating revenue with Gotcha Guardians for you guys, then you'll have some profits.
Yes, it's even better to get this set up so that we can, even if we don't have to worry about anything, just the basic filings that we didn't realize we had, because we would have technically missed. The directors have been in for two years, starting I think in March, so we would have missed 2 filings already, or we're about to miss the second one. But we can figure that all out once we get, I guess, things going. So I guess next steps for the DAO would be, I guess, having you guys start this process, or like, should we keep the discussion open for I don't know. I want more feedback from the audience if they can, like in terms of like taking a loan and then forming a prop pretty immediately to get this discretionary funding and to repay Pixelcraft, but have, like going forward, like something more appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like there's a lot of opinions on the matter. I think people just would like to kind of see it get done. But you're right. Like if we do borrow the money and then for whatever reason the prop fails, that would just be a little weird. But I can't anticipate that it will. But I don't know also. So yeah, if anyone in the audience has any ideas or any concerns, please let it be heard.
Yeah, I guess.
One last thought, I'd have to reread everything with a fine-tooth comb, but is there any exception where we could get these other multi-sig signers on even before the ink dries on all the new legal side stuff? Maybe nobody on this stage can answer or needs to answer, but something to think about. Could reread it with a lawyer's mindset if there's any loophole. And really be nice to get that multi-sig beefed up a bit. and then work out all the other stuff.
Yeah,
Security
if you guys
exception.
could figure that part out, like they did fill, like we did all fill a spreadsheet, so all that information is with the DAO directors and Maxi Crouton. They have the other addresses for the multi-sig signers, so it's just a matter of them like onboarding us, I guess.
The way that the DAO works is that it's like the entity itself is subservient to the on-chain part. So really, like, I don't think technically the DAO multi-sig needs to wait for the foundation docs to be updated to update the multi-sig. It's more like the multi-sig would be updated first and then the foundation docs would be updated, not the other way around.
Yeah, that's what I thought when we after the vote passed, like, because we were asked for the information almost immediately, but obviously we weren't going to come in and just be like, okay, put us on there now, you know. But it is kind of desperate right now. So if that would just provide some security to the DAO, then it's probably the move.
Very high right now, and it's been elected by the DAO. There was due process on that, and so I think as long as there's a reasonable effort and time frame to get the DAO Foundation docs updated. Obviously, we want to hear from the DAO directors on this, but that's just my 2 cents. Is that this whole thing is structured so that it's the legal entity part is kind of subservient to the on-chain part.
Yeah, for me,
I mean, I'm sorry, it reminds me of like, you know, like it wouldn't exist unless the on-chain part took action in the beginning, right? The on-chain DAO created the entity, not the other way around. So, sorry, no future.
yeah, I was gonna say for me, the members who we are adding to the multi-sig, at least 2 of them have already been very well known and KYC'd, and the other 2, I believe, have been KYC'd for a long time. They're trusted community members with, you know, longer backgrounds. I feel personally like I'm okay with the on-chain action being taken first because the DAO directed us to do it, and we're kind of defying the will of the DAO by not doing it. If we find out that through KYC they cannot they can't actually get to the board, we can update the multi-sig from there.
Right.
Yeah, because then we don't know if we're running afoul of the law. Going forward, we should always do the KYC first. Like, you know, if you're going to do, I think I wasn't for it before, but I'm kind of for it now. If you go through an election, you got a KYC at the beginning of the election, or we have to determine, like, you know, a proper buffer. So like at the end of a term, like instead of having an election on month 12, we do it at month 10, so that we have plenty of time. We have 2 months like for a transition of power, essentially, right? We can get everybody KYC'd. If anything fails, we can do emergency elections. It might also be wise to consider changing some of the rules around these elections. Like you have to pass a core prop to have the election, but that the election can be decided with 1 sig prop after that. It doesn't have to actually go through a core prop to make it like binding.
And that's what we've been doing, though. Yeah,
have we just been doing that? Okay.
A proposal beforehand this time was to define the term limits. Like we had no terms before.
Right.
So then after the terms were established, we kind of just did the single proposal for the election. But I'm totally with you on the part that everything needs to be like the whole process needs to be set in stone so that moving forward, like that, this won't happen again. You know, we'll never have a situation where it's kind of like we're down to 5 exact signers needed to get things done. Whether that means like doing the election early, like you said, in month 10, or a KYC process if that's necessary earlier than you know, waiting for after the results of the election. I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
Like, but these are just like the growing pains. Like this is where we're gonna figure this stuff out, and then it'll kind of be set in stone moving forward. We shouldn't have these problems again.
Yeah, it's important because it's just getting it set up and right. We know that KYC only takes 2 days, so we don't necessarily have to do it before the election, because there are like, there are genuine concerns of people like, I don't want to KYC if I'm not going to have a realistic chance of winning. Like if I KYC and lose, it's kind of like, it's better to just do it with the winners. But I guess it just like clears the table to avoid anybody coming in that might not, they can win the election and then their KYC fails. The problem is then we have to distinguish, like, is the DAO paying for that? Do we have to pay KYC all candidates and pay in advance? Because there is going to be some fee associated with that, as we heard from Johnson. And then once we execute that, I guess we're fine. Execute the election, have a transition so that we can make sure everybody understands they need a ledger and that they're, unused device so that we can do this properly. Choina has a question. If someone inadvertently executes an incorrect transaction and are not official members of the board, are they covered under the foundation from possible legal recourse? Ross highlighted this part of let's read this. A resolution in writing signed by all directors for the time being shall be as valid and effectual as it had been passed by a meeting of the directors duly convened. For the avoidance of doubt, such a resolution may be signed and executed cryptographically.
To me, this is saying the vote that was done through Snapshot, and then if that is enacted on chain via the multi-sig, that's the same thing as passing a resolution at a meeting of the directors. I think that's what this is. That's the spirit of this paragraph.
Yeah, we just execute the will of the DAO, but if a vote goes through on chain, that is the meeting of the directors saying, "Hey, let's do this." That's the placeholder.
Yeah.
Almost.
So this is kind of to Choina's point. They were, when they get added to the multi-sig, it's the same thing as having a directors meeting and making a written resolution. Adding to the multi-sig is the resolution. The written part is more like a formal, or like a legal declaration of that, but the actual legal implications are on chain.
Yeah, so Ditchy McAbandoned Pants, you said no futuristic, we need an updated DAO operating agreement. I don't think we've ever really had one. It was just more so, we've only had 2 major events that we've had to deal with from an operations standpoint beyond just signing transactions, and that was swapping, the initial creation, swapping Mori out, adding in Aavegotchi 1, and then now this. So there was no operating agreement that I know of prior to this, which is what we're kind of figuring out now. Well, it seems like with Johnson and this solution, we can get everything taken care of and just get the process rolling much quicker if we take the loan from Pixelcraft.
It'll be much simpler when you actually have a working CorpSec. Having an entity without having a CorpSec is very, it just doesn't work. So it's just unfortunate that the CorpSec that Ross initially appointed has either just closed or isn't responding. But yeah, we're like on Pixelcraft side, we're happy to provide initial funding to get this done quicker, but I do think that on-chain takes precedent over on paper. So according to this is in the foundation docs. The directors should have a mandate to update the multi-sig based on the vote, the binding vote that was on Snapshot. And then we can handle the off-chain legal parts separately, just to keep the docs tidy for the Cayman legal authorities.
Okay, so then when Maxi Crouton is awake, I'm not sure if he's still here. We can, as the directors are all, the 5 of them at least, are ready and about. We can add these multi-sig new signers, remove the previous ones, add them. I just need the new directors. I'm assuming you have already. I haven't looked at the document since it was, it's been a while. But make sure that you update your wallet addresses on the document. I think I have all of your emails. Your wallet.
Yeah, everybody did.
Yeah, but I feel like we need to make sure that the payment wallet and the signing wallet are two separate wallets.
Definitely. Yep.
Yeah, because that one wallet shouldn't touch anything except for Den or Safe. And then we'll move forward with providing gas fees and just going through the process from there.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
This is actually, to me, this is like the most exciting DAO stuff. I actually really enjoy this process. So I think we should we should try to spend a little bit more time on setting up long-term plans like this. This is really cool. I'm excited to have a good CorpSec as well, working with the DAO Foundation.
Okay, that's great.
Exactly.
And yet, no future. What you were saying earlier about the KYC, like earlier, and how you're saying maybe some people wouldn't want to do that. I feel like anyone applying for the role wouldn't really have a problem with that. It's kind of like applying for a job, the way I see it. Like, you know what I mean? So if you're putting your name out there and trying to get a paid position, like I feel like most people would be willing to kind of divulge that information beforehand, regardless of if they got it or not, especially if they've been like longtime members of the community. I'm not speaking for anyone other than myself, but that's how I would view it. Like it's just a job application, and like the employer would have the right to know who you are at least, right?
Yeah, 100%. So I guess going like the next steps will be I guess unless because I at this point we don't have many people disagreeing with getting the money fronted to us. So I guess creating a prop saying, "Hey, we're gonna use this entity going forward. Let's set aside money to pay back Pixelcraft, and then just continue with the process from there."
Yep. Cool. Are you gonna bring up the part? Because I don't think was Maxi Cruton on? Is he here today? No, I don't think he came by today. So just to like have the current directors know, I think most of you guys are here. But just maybe some kind of update in the directors chat, and then I guess we could take it from there.
Yeah, we'll do that after the meeting.
Cool. Excellent. And is there anything else? We got a couple more minutes here. Anything else? I mean, we went through the discussion. There wasn't really anything active other than the thread that you started. I'm just going to take a look here.
Wasn't there one to the prop to lower quorum?
Yes.
Is that live yet, or that's coming?
It is live.
It is.
Yeah, it's live. It ends in 2 weeks. We're currently at 72%. Yeah, it ends on April 15th.
Oh, okay, yeah. Adjusting quorum. Yeah, okay, I got it. Nice.
Yeah, that's cool. It's moving nicely. So yeah, please get your votes in on those. They look pretty healthy. I mean, everything should pass this time around. Hopefully no repeats. But if you're listening and you haven't voted yet, please do that. Anything else? Anybody? Panel? You guys got anything?
No, I think that sums it up. We got some stuff to take care of, but it was a good and productive conversation today.
Yeah, man. I agree. All right. Well,
Great.
Cool.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks for coming out, everyone. See you next week.
See ya.
Peace.
Peace out, friends.